a lot of them small and some medium sized. What I see is I see the complications on the other side, the smaller business, and then really make I would say get out of the box and start exporting and just grow the vision of what they've got for their business. Unless it's an international business at the start, it's one or two people, and perhaps they come out of a smaller business, unlikely they're going to have that willingness to go out and export. If it's 3 or 4 people who come out of a large business, perhaps funded with a bit of venture capital money, then they have the experience to go and get in touch with exports and do that straight away. We also have a feeling that, as I think has come out here, we find that most people are running their businesses to make enough money in the UK. It's not until they've actually got some surplus profits that they can invest, perhaps bring in an expert or bring in somebody as part of their team to look at the export prospects that they will actually make that jump. And of course, then there's the other factor for small business, is that sometimes they see the risk a bit too great. Now, let's not be negative about this. I think the great thing is if people come to these sessions, come to any forum and meet other people and see how easy it is to export, then they'll do it. And that's really what I think we want to try and explore today. Interesting to hear Dan's comments this morning too, about the entrepreneur running his own business. He doesn't really have time, and you need to make the time to implement the vision that you've got for the business. And what I find with people is most times they're working, unfortunately, in the business. They're not taking themselves out for a day and working on the business, which is when they make it grow. So we've got some great contributors here today. The first one I'm going to invite is Professor Tim Wheeler, Vice Chancellor of the University of Chester, who I'm sure most of you will know. I stand back in Chester, having been here for 25 years. What I've been astounded and delighted by is the growth and the vision of the university. Having gone on to the Chester site some 15 years ago and seen quite a good university, reasonable size, I'm amazed at what it's grown into today. And that really, a lot of that drive, ambition stands to do. So Tim, will you entertain us and give us some thoughts?
I shall do my best to entertain. I can't guarantee. When I was asked to offer some reflections on this particular theme, it struck me that I look back at the last 10 years. The first time I was in China was in 2010, which is less than a decade ago. And I was very impressed by what I saw then. And then in the intervening 9 years or so, I visited roughly once a year. And what strikes me is the incredible pace of change in China. And if you look at the various economic models, China will become the world's largest economy in 2025. It will eclipse the United States. That's always assuming that Mr. Trump and his trade wars don't damage both parties inexorably. In this country, we've always been an internationally outward-facing institution. We've always been concerned with free trade and the promotion and sale of British goods and services. And in the context of the uncertainties of Brexit and the general uncertainties over economic development, one needs to find a partner and a range of opportunities where there is a sense of strategic direction and of stability. And I would look very much to China as providing a vision. We've talked in previous colloquia about One Belt, One Road. We've talked about a variety of initiatives that are long-term. And the thing that impresses me about China is this kind of long-term view. Progress is measured in decades, but in fact it's actually made week by week, month by month. But the vision is there of where the country needs to be and what the opportunities are. And I think that at times is in marked contrast, particularly at the moment with the political uncertainties we have in this country, where things seem to be very short-term, very expedient. And if we are to take a longer-term view, with China becoming the world's largest trading nation, and the opportunities which are afforded for businesses and, dare I say, particularly services in this country. And that's what we in the University of Chester have been trying to look at over the last few years, which is the development of links with our Chinese colleagues with a view to enhancing the opportunities for both parties. We have particular skills and expertise, as do our colleagues in China. And it's a question of learning from each other and the opportunities that that creates. So if I were to look at the nature of the changing experiences, I could give you some particular examples. The first would be to look at something like high-speed rail. In 2008, we first started thinking in this country about high-speed 2. And at exactly the same time in China, there were reports about high-speed rail improvements across China. At the moment, we've got lots of plans, we've allocated a great deal to planning, and we don't have a single foot of rail track or a single vehicle that can run on those rails. In China, they have 24,000 kilometres of high-speed track. They have 60 major cities connected, and by 2020 there'll be another 20 and another 6,000 kilometres of high-speed train track. And everywhere you go in China, there are some very significant developments. The technology was not Chinese initially, but for the last 2 years in China, the technology to build rolling stock, the carriages, particularly the engines, are all now built in China and are built to a Chinese design that has modified and extended the original device. So that is, I think, a mark of contrast. But on the other side, we have had for many years, decades in this country, well-established financial services that are very sophisticated, and I think there are opportunities for the export of this knowledge, this know-how, to the People's Republic of China. It is a rapidly developing market, a rapidly developing capital in terms of the financial services products that are available. It is still very much state-directed in terms of the four major banks that are there, and again, I think there are opportunities that come out of dialogue and of mutual respect in terms of the development of these kinds of activities. We have, for the last 3 years, been working with partner universities in China on something which Phil Harris has led for us, which has been the Marco Polo Initiative. And it's been looking at those areas where universities can make a significant addition and impact to their local economies, to their regional economies, and to the national and then international economies. And part and parcel of that is about how you develop that relationship. And our experience has been that if you are going to operate effectively in China, or perhaps more broadly in Southeast Asia, the fundamental aspect you have to get is a mutual understanding and regard. An understanding of what people need, an understanding of those issues which have to be prioritised for both parties. Now that sounds very trivial, but in fact, until you've achieved that and built that relationship, you won't actually see an effective sale of goods or provision of services. You have to build and nurture that relationship. And that is, at times, in marked contrast to the way that this university operates across Europe, or particularly in the United States, where it's much more transactional. It's of equal value to the university, but nevertheless, it's a fundamentally different way of working. So I have been immensely impressed by my experiences China. I have a huge affection and regard for the people of China and the various colleagues that we've met. But it is set very much in a different political system. It is very much a centralised, state-run enterprise. But interestingly enough, it's about how those powers are delegated down to provinces, to cities, to administrations. And although there is often a sense in the West of not understanding what goes on in China, it works. It works extremely well. And there is an empowerment of individuals at a variety of levels, which translates into a very dynamic economy, and one which continues to grow. I mean, there was a crisis a year ago in China because growth had dipped to 6.8%. And there is a huge amount which China is investing in improving the infrastructure of cities and of the country as a whole. But nevertheless, the growth rates are phenomenal, and it's something which I think we can learn a great deal from. So I commend the work of my colleague, Phil Harris, and a number of visiting colleagues who are here, and a desire on both parts to continue to make this work and to see benefits to both countries, and more widely. I mean, some of the indications I have people who work in Indonesia, they work in Vietnam, but they especially work in China. And with that, Robert, I shall pass on to the next contributor.
Thank you very much. So I would agree that the Beijing chain in China has just been fantastic. I think it's just opened our eyes to see what's happened to Shenzhen, see what's been achieved in so many years. I think I sit here in the UK as a businessman, we want to get things done, and we've had that example now about high-speed rail, how it's happened in China, it's all there, and we're still waiting to get these things approved in the UK. We do work under different political regimes, but actually here I would love to see in the UK some collaboration between all the UK parties, and I say that in terms of parliamentary parties, to take on long-term vision, not a short-term vision, and say this is what we need for the country. If we do need that Heathrow Airport, let's have it. If we do need high-speed rail, let's get on with it. If we do need a power station embassy, let's fast-track it. Let's not go in bureaucracy about environmental issues, which is very important, but perhaps we could curtail the timing. And the same really about expansion of the roads again, which I think will delay the system. So,
sorry to interrupt. Can we have the translation from the Vice Chancellor speak first, and then we'll move on to the next speaker.
Sorry, just a brief bullet point of what the Vice Chancellor has said. 中国呢，在Tim Wheeler 是我们切斯特大学的校长大家可能听到的这个 term 呢，相对来说跟中国来说不太一样。校长呢在这边叫 Vice Chancellor，所以切斯特大学的校长呢是10年前第一次去到了中国，然后呢以后每一年呢都有去到中国的来访，不只是1次，也有可能是2次的来访。所以他个人呢是非常喜欢中国的。那他对于中国的印象呢，对于到2025年的时候呢，中国是被预测可以成为整个世界最大的一个经济体，所以他对中国的经济呢是非常有信心的。那英国呢也一直是一个国际化的一个国家，有非常多的人来到英国，也有非常多的企业来到英国，所以呢他觉得中国和英国能有更多的这样的一个发展，趁着中国经济发展这样的一个势头呢，能够更加把英国引进来。那现在呢，英国呢目前来说呢有很多的 crisis， 也就是说这样的一些危机吧。那其中呢最近的呢就是 Brexit， 也就是说英国脱欧之后呢会有一些政局上的不稳。那这些政局上的不稳呢，Tim 的这样的一个咱们的校长这样一个导向呢是说，可以把英国的这个重心，他们的这个 trade， 也就是说他们的这个贸易的重心呢更加的转向到中国去，而不是只是集中在欧盟。所以呢，这其中呢，关于战略的转向以及如何来提供政治的稳定性呢，是中国呢，Tim 觉得是一个正确的这样的一个方向。那同时呢，英国呢也是一个提供服务的国家。那同时呢，英国作为我们英国的切斯特大学呢，也是完全来提供教育服务的。 那大家也知道，英国的第三产业呢，就是服务产业呢，是整个英国最发达的经济体了。那作为切斯特大学呢，也是正式提供这种教育服务的，给咱们所有的这个中国的不论是学生也好，还是其他的政体，还是其他的这个商业也好。那另外呢Tim Whelan 呢，我们的 Vice Chancellor 呢说了nature of change， 也就是说，他呢非常的羡慕中国的经济的发展呢，是因为在这不断的变化当中呢，取得到了成就，而英国呢，他非常的遗憾，就是说在这变化当中呢，并没有取得成就。在2008年的 High Speed Rail， 就是说这个高铁的发展呢，同时中国开展了第二次的高速铁路的这样的一个 regeneration， 也就是说重新的改革，就是高铁继续铺垫起来。但是同时在英国呢，这个高铁项目就是 High Speed 2也同时呢被提上了日程。但是直到今日呢，中国的这个高铁发展呢，已经有2.4万英里的这样的一个铺垫了，但是这样铁路的一个铺垫了。但是整个英国呢，目前还是在讨论当中，并没有任何的一辆这个高速的列车或者一个高速的铁道有制作出来。所以呢，他也非常羡慕中国的这样的一个政策的导向。那作为中国来说呢，仍然还是一个非常政府导向性的这样的一个国家。那作为这样政府导向性的国家呢，英国以及整个西方的社会呢，是仍然是有不理解的地方，就是为什么这样的一个政府导向性的国家，而不是民主导向性的国家，能够在中国取得成功。但是他非常的确认，通过这些次的发展，这些次的这个参观在中国，非常确认这种方法非常适合中国，而且在中国目前发展的也特别好。那最后呢，与中国的同事呢，以及中国的来访者呢，他希望能够继续的和切斯特大学的所有的同事一起合作，能够把中国的事务以及英国的大学事务推广到中国的市场当中去。谢谢。
So can I ask Hassan Ramadi, who's the Optimus International Consultancy business, has a lot of experience in dealing with reviews across the country.
Thank you very much. First of all, my thanks goes to Professor Harris and the Business Research Institute and Chester University. And again, a warm welcome to our visitors from China. They've come a long way. I hope they enjoy this day, and there could be a lot of cooperation. One of the points I picked up was from Professor Jimbo when he mentioned networking. I think this is all about networking. It's your starting point. And again, congratulations goes to Dan for taking the initiative and perhaps sometimes risks in trying to do business overseas. And William being very passionate about China, particularly Shenzhen. So he's encouraging us to go there. We have been there, but we'll go again. But we'll see more pictures and to see a great entrepreneur like David.
哈桑呢，首先非常的高兴能够受到校长的邀请，以及Phil Harris，Professor Phil Harris， 也就是说这个商务研究院的邀请，来到这个论坛。然后呢，他也刚才也提到了，就是说在论坛当中呢，他也非常的欣赏大家所提到的这些点。那其中呢，有这个金波教授曾经有提到过的一些在如何在中国发展，以及尤其是中小企业在中国发展的这样的一个状况。那其中呢，还有其他的一些人的一些观点，他也非常的欣赏。
Thank you. I'd like to just briefly introduce myself. I'm Arab origin. I went to the Arab countries, the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, in 1977. I went as a young engineer, and I came back as an old man after 37 years. I was based 37 years in the Gulf states, particularly the Emirates, and I've run companies with 3 billion turnover with 6,000 employees. And I have a lot of respect for the Chinese because I worked with China in a magnitude way where exchanged contracts of about 350 million pounds.
哈桑呢，同时介绍了一下他自己的背景。那他呢是来自于中东，来自于阿拉伯。 然后他呢很长的一段时间呢都是作为一个 engineer， 就是说作为一个工程师在工作。那其中他在工作当中呢也和中国接触到很多。那曾经呢他有一单和中国的这个贸易呢是达到了2.2亿的这个2.2万英镑的这样的一个数量。所以呢他对中国呢是非常的了解，也非常喜欢和中国做贸易。
I'm not an expert on Brexit. Every day things change. Last night there was a different story, this morning a different story, but we're business people and we have to grab opportunities, whatever we have in our hand. And my subject actually is British SMEs in the GCC, which is the Gulf Cooperation Council in the Brexit era.
所以呢，他呢本身个人呢并不是一个英国脱欧的这样的一个专家，但是他呢在这里面也提供一些观点，就是说在英国这样目前政局不太稳定要脱欧的过程当中呢，也有非常多的机遇。那其中这个机遇呢，就是他的议题之一，也就是说这个 GCC， 也就是说中东合作议会，在整个脱欧过程当中如何能起到重要的作用。
The GCC comprises of 6 countries. The biggest one is Saudi Arabia, with 32 million population. The United Arab Emirates, around 10 million. Oman, Sultan of Oman, 4.4 million. In fact, I saw 6 of the young students from the window over lunchtime. They were talking Arabic, so I waved to them. I was very happy to see Oman is here. Kuwait, 4 million. Qatar, 2.6 million. Bahrain is the smallest village, 1.4 million.
那中东议会呢是由6个国家组成，这其中呢最大的呢就是沙特阿拉伯，另外一个呢就是阿拉伯联合酋长国，另外呢还有也门、阿曼、科威特。那其中呢，刚才他也提到了，在楼下呢看到了几个从阿曼来的学生，那也看到了这个阿拉伯国家的同学们呢能够来到英国进行参观和访问。
These countries make a total population, amazingly, 54 million, compared to China, 1.4 billion, India, 1.35 billion.
整个的这6个国家呢组成的中东议会呢，一共有4.4 million， 也就是4千万的人口。那中国呢现在是将近16亿的人口，那整个印度呢是有将近10亿的人口。
Now the background, next slide please, if you don't mind, Stephen. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Background and the gateway to the GCC, and I'd like to expand on that slightly by saying where China and the UK meet in the GCC, and I will expand on that further.
对于整个的这个 GCC 这个中东议会的一个背景，以及如何能够进入到，如何能够利用中东议会呢？这其中呢有几点他会提到。
With the decision taken to leave the EU, as we all know, we're no longer closer to a solution in terms of economic clarity and with the political chaos among the political parties. The only clarity at the moment is Brexit is uncertainty.
作为整个英国的脱欧呢，目前来说，英国呢马上要离开整个欧盟，那现在呢是没有任何的可确定性的，所以剩下的就只有政策的不确定性以及经济的不确定性，所以所有的东西呢都是不确定的。
The statistics have shown in the UK there's over 5.8 million SMEs, which accounts to 99% of the private sector firms, and which accounts to 60% of the total private sector employment.
那数据显示呢，有将近500多万，500万，这个小企业呢，也就是 SME 呢，在有99%的他们呢都是在这个私企当中，而不是在这个政府企业当中。
With the uncertainty of Brexit, there will be obstacles, especially those trading internationally, for imports and exports centered around currency valuation, access to customer base, and the complex customs and excise regulations.
因为与英国的这样的一个发展呢，英国脱欧了之后呢，也会影响到中东的一些他们的企业的雇佣员在英国当中，他们的生活、他们的工作，以及他们会遇到的一些困难，那如何来解决这些问题？
Some businesses already started will seek other options, to expand their businesses overseas by diversifying shared services and international supply chain.
所以一部分的英国的企业呢，已经开始寻找其他的机会来扩张它的整个的这个商业的一个领域，不仅仅停留在欧盟当中。
Next slide, please. I would like to talk about the bilateral trade. The United Kingdom has excellent ties with the United Arab Emirates, and they have been in control of the Emirates since 1892, which the Emirates was under the custody of the United Kingdom, and it was relinquished in 1971.
那下一个呢，就是双边贸易的政策。那对于英国政府呢，一直都和阿拉伯联合酋长国呢有这样良好的一个双边政策，以及中东议会。那这其中呢，就有这个 free market， 也就是自由的这样的一个市场，以及自由的一个贸易。而且两边的政府呢都是非常拥护这样的政策的。
Before 1971, the Emirates comprised of actually 7 countries within one country. Dubai was one country, Abu Dhabi was one country, Fujairah was one country. There's 7 countries within one country, but the federation was formed in 1971.
在1971年之前呢，整个阿拉伯联合酋长国呢曾经是7个国家，7个单独的国家。那在他们之后呢，组成了这个阿拉伯联合酋长国，就像欧盟一样的形式。
Within the last year, high-profile ministers, Theresa May and her government, have visited the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia and UAE in particular, and they are signing up the bilateral trade with UAE and the GCC, which will ensure that business will continue to prosper with these countries, advocating free markets and free trade with favorable terms.
在最近的一届英国的首相带领的政府下呢，特蕾莎梅呢也率领的这个代表团去到了阿拉伯联合酋长国，并签订了这个双边贸易。那双边贸易当中呢，就规定了基本的自由贸易以及自由的市场这样的一个政策。
You can imagine in 1960, the population of the UAE in total was 100,000 people. And in 1977, 500,000. And out of that, only 200,000 were UAE nationals, 100% UAE nationals. Today's population is 9.4 million.
在1950年呢开始，整个阿拉伯联合酋长国的人口呢只有10万。那在几年之后呢，增长到了50万，到目前呢是900万的人口。
2% are Chinese nationals living in the Emirates. 1.5% are from the United Kingdom. The majority of the balance are from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, which constitute the labor force.
那在阿拉伯联合酋长国呢，有2%的是中国国籍的工作人员在那边，那有1.4%呢是英国人，那其中大部分呢是来自于印度和巴基斯坦的，作为在那边的工作的，尤其是劳务性的工作的，从事这些职业。
The UAE has the 7th largest oil reserves in the world, and one of the highest GDP, around $45,000 per person.
那作为阿拉伯联合酋长国呢，是拥有全世界第7大的这个储油量。那它的这个人均 GDP 呢 ？Sorry, can you repeat the number again?
$45,000 per person, the GDP.
是45000，这个是美元啊，45000美元平均每人的 GDP。
The United Arab Emirates is the UK's largest export market in the Middle East and 13th biggest globally. And the UAE is the UK's 4th largest export market outside the EU. The weaker pound also generates more interest in our products and services. And in fact, the UK last year exported around £10 billion worth of business. And 3 billion out of the 10 billion, 3 billion was for services, which was very interesting, which includes a consultancy, architectural, all the peripheral services.
那作为英国呢，是阿拉伯联合酋长国的最大的一个出口的交易国。 那作为阿拉伯联合酋长国呢，英国呢是它的第4大的出口以及进口的交易国。那对于阿拉伯国家来说，以及英国国家来说，双边都有巨大的兴趣来交易他们的产品以及服务。那其中呢，去年呢有将近100亿的英镑的交易额成交，其中有30亿呢是由英国提供的服务给这个阿拉伯酋长国。
There's over 4,000 British companies are based in Dubai alone. Over 4,000.
仅仅在这个首都呢，就有将近4000个英国的这个企业在那边有其他的分支。
The education sector is one of the top priorities in GCC, and already some international universities are looking to set up campus, tapping into this very important sector, increasing student intakes and revenue from the Middle East and Asian region.
那在教育方面呢，英国呢也是中东这个议会以及阿拉伯联合酋长国最重要的一个合作伙伴。那其中呢也有很多的国际的学校想要在阿拉伯联合酋长国开设它的校外分部。
For example, in the UAE, there's 105 universities, private universities, and only 30 public. A total of 135 universities with a population of the 9.5 million. Out of those, maybe 1 million are students.
那在阿拉伯联合酋长国呢，有一共105家私立的大学，那其中有35家公立的大学，一共组成了将近140多所大学。
For example, the Manchester University of Business School has a place there. The University of Strathclyde, the London School of Business, and the London College of Fashion are some of the examples of some of the prestige universities already established in the Emirates.
那其中呢，英国所知的曼大，以及咱们的斯特拉斯克莱德在苏格兰的一所大学，都有他们的 business school， 也就是他们的商学院，在阿拉伯联合酋长国。
Next slide, please. Thank you, Stephen. The GCC has become a gateway for companies to operate in the free zones, and the UAE has become the stronghold spot for providing such services, particularly in Dubai, which has more than 30 free zones with over 13,000 companies operating within the free zones.
那中东议会呢，已经变成了这些国家以及这些公司进入到整个阿拉伯联合酋长国的这样的一个中介以及媒体。那其中呢，仅仅在迪拜的一个城市就有超过了30个自由贸易区，以及有将近13000个公司在里面运营。
Broadening global reach as its gate to the biggest emerging market, China and India, who are vital to the supply chain and within its reach.
那对于中国以及印度来说呢，现在越来越成为阿拉伯联合酋长国最重要的一个在 supply chain， 就是他们的这个供应链当中扮演一个非常重要的一个角色。中国和印度。
Some of the big players in the UAE, for example, Dyson. I'm sure you heard of Dyson. They do the vacuum cleaners and other electronics. They have a big base in the UAE, and they actually bring all the goods from China. So it's a good point where they assemble it cheaply. Labor is cheap in the Emirates, and we're exporting it. As an example, Dyson.
那举一个例子呢，戴森生产这个大家知道清洁，它有不同的这个吸尘器，以及吹风机。那他们呢，在这个阿拉伯联合酋长国呢，就有他们最大的一个生产商。那其中呢，他们就受惠于当地的比较廉价的劳动力。
Other big organizations like Standard Chartered Bank, HSBC, British Aerospace, Shell, and BP, which is in the oil and gas industry.
那其他的一些比较知名的企业呢，像 HSBC 就是汇丰银行，以及这个壳牌公司，以及英国石油，都在这个阿拉伯联合酋长国有他们的办事处。
Thank you. These free zones offer tax-exempt status, duty-free of capital, and goods are repatriation of any funds back to the country of origin. The local government has always advocated and are committed to support the investors to ensure a smooth transition and establishment of the companies. The ruler of the UAE actually says we are here to serve the people, not the people to serve us. And this is something very unusual to happen in the Gulf states.
那作为整个的这个自由贸易区当中呢，他们不仅仅提供税收的减免、退税，以及为所有的投资者呢提供免优的这样的一条龙的服务。那作为整个阿拉伯联合酋长国的酋长，就是最高统治者呢，也说了，他们是为所有的，咱们用中国的 term 来说的话，就是为人民服务，而不是人民为他们服务。
The UAE, particularly Dubai, imports roughly 150 billion pounds worth of business last year, and actually is used as a hub for re-exporting to Iran and also to Saudi Arabia and the countries in the region. And Britain plays a part in this also for the re-exporting of goods.
那在105万亿的交易额当中呢，不仅仅有一部分去到了伊朗，去到了沙特阿拉伯，其中呢，英国呢也从中受益了很多。
It's considered that the Gulf states, particularly the UAE, plays a part, and it's considered as a silk road between China, India, and the Gulf states.
那作为UAE 来说的话，他想要去探究更多的机会，如何能够跟中国和印度来合作。
Next slide, please. As of 15th of July, when I made this report, there has been talk that Brexit might not go well to secure a preferential deal. Latest MPs scramble. Perhaps copying the free zone principle in the UK to retain and attract new global companies should not be ruled out. And I think it was even mentioned today by one of the presenters earlier. This is something that Brexit might not go through. So this is just a thought that maybe the UK could be another free zone. In conclusion, I'd like to say in my mother tongue, shukran in Arabic, the Cheshire. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you.
最后一点想法呢，就是在2018年的7月15号，我在完成这个整个的这个report 当中呢，整个的英国的脱欧的整个行动呢，不管从政府方面还是社会方面呢，都存在着非常大的不确定性。那是否这样的一个免税的整个一个自由交易的这样的一个区域的这样的一个政策，能够从整个这个脱欧的不确定性当中保持下来，稳定到和中东或者和中国的贸易当中去呢？这个是他想要政府能够给出一个答案的。Thank you.
Sam, thank you very much for a full briefing on what's happening in the Middle East, on the UAE in particular. It's surprising how much it has grown over the years. It's something that's rather escaped me. We have quite a lot of clients who do a lot of export over there. We have a ceramic company that's got a lot of wonderful murals and hotels and freeways there. And I think the idea of the free zone principle is certainly an interesting one. We all know with Brexit what we do need is we need easy free trade governments. While businesses hate uncertainty, and that's what they've got right now, and that's putting them off decisions about expanding in the UK, waiting to see what the final reforms are being done. And of course, as we know, when we leave it to the politicians, we get nothing really until right at the last minute. They all sit down in Brussels and think we really have to get off the fence now and do something. So thank you very much for those thoughts, much appreciated. Can I ask Dr. Windan, who's Deputy Director of Business Research Institute, University of Chester, and I'm sure Phil Harris will join me, and whilst Phil has been the one who's been inspirational sort of this, Dr. Windan has been to a huge degree responsible for production for this document, so I'm very grateful to you. I received a copy of this about 2 weeks ago. And should have read it, but like all people who run their own businesses and their client is facing, they're never trying to do it until it's absolutely important. So I read this last night and was really impressed actually with the level of detail and the conclusions that were in it. So well done for giving a nice summary at the beginning and another nice summary at the end too. I really appreciate it. So we're waiting here.
Thank you very much. So is it my turn? I thought it's next then.
Sorry, my apologies. What should we go with you? You're quite right. Nick, let's bring you in and we'll come back. Sorry.
Ladies first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, in that case I had to put some stuff.
It's England, you know.
I've got Right, good afternoon, everybody. We have talked quite a lot about business today, and also the chaos, uncertainty, etc. What I'm going to talk about is something more certainty, something that we at Chester University are doing, because we have talked about today switching the link between China and the UK, and we, as an individual, as a faculty, business research industry, we are doing just that. And so what I'm going to do is just spend a few minutes time, not very long, to talk about what we did, what we have been doing in the last 2-3 years. Okay, first of all, right. Is there a remote control? Well, summer school, actually summer school, it can be misleading because when you talk about summer school, you think that secondary school, summer school. But actually, we are talking about the executive, the delegates we have here. They are part of our summer school participants. And we started summer school in 2016, so only 2 years ago. And actually, it was a chance for funny reason. Well, not that funny, actually, when you think about it.
What's the other time?
Yeah, well, it was when we think about it now. 2 years ago, our director of China Center has left us with not a lot of notice, I think, not a lot of our notice. And so what happened was we at BRI, we've been, we were not asked, we were nicely asked whether or not we would like to run the summer school. And so we didn't know anything about it. We didn't decide a program or anything. Everything was decided by the China Center. We have no idea how, we didn't even know what the schedule was. But then we say yes for funny reason. I don't remember why. But actually we say yes. Yeah,
I think I better interrupt, I apologise. By and large, if you like, a member of staff left who ran the China Centre and had set up a previous summer school, which had been small, and had started setting up another one. And it became evident really within the university that we might have a China summer school unless somebody took it over. And like we were talking about entrepreneurial things earlier, we took it over. And we could have said no, and we could have had a quiet life, and we could have written things and done things and had something easy. But in fact, actually, Wing and I sort of decided, no, we'll go for it.
Although we didn't know what it was like. And so we spent quite a lot of time being very entrepreneurial. In fact, I think in BRI, everything we do is being entrepreneurial. So yes, we decided to do that, and it was quite a challenging task. But we, with the help of our volunteer, Ying and Hong, and also Dian as well, with the help of our volunteer and also our friends around the table, and also in Chester, and actually some outside Chester, we were able to manage a 3-week summer school. And that was the very first time we learned a lot. And so that was 2016. And then, but then of course we learned a lot from it, we benefited a lot from that, and therefore we think we should continue summer school, but we want to change it into more in-depth exchange between UK and China. And therefore last year we have an executive summer school. So basically we bring in the businessmen and women to Chester. And also they also, like today's delegate, they engage in the Chester Forum. And also they were also from Guangxi Normal University. In fact, Jimbo was a mastermind to bring them all last year. In fact, he was here. He was the leader of the team. We came over, and so it was very very challenging because it was completely different from the year before. But it was also a great success. We enjoyed very much, and they enjoyed very much, and therefore it was again a learning experience because we tried the postgraduate summer school for the first time. The first year, 2016, was undergraduate. So this year we are also different because we are pretty much different every time, and we build upon it. And if you see the number of people, first year less than 10, this year is 50. So the number is increasing. And so this year, for the first time, we have one postgraduate program and one undergraduate program, 2 summer schools running at the same time. So at this very moment, the postgraduate are here with us, while the undergraduate is somewhere in the campus, attending classes and lectures, etc. And so this is one of the things we do. And of course, the reason why we do that is, apart from the revenue, which of course is always important for a business, even though we are a business within a university, is the business engagement activity. Because a lot, for example, last year's delegates, a lot of them are entrepreneurs or state officials, senior management. And so because they are here not because they want to have a holiday, but they would like to know more about the UK, the investment opportunity, etc., etc. And therefore, that's why, and I think that's the biggest value of our summer school. And also, this year we decided to do the undergraduate as well, because undergraduate, the student, when they get to know Chester, chances are they are likely to come to Chester for our full-time degree courses. And so in a way, it's also our recruitment strategy. So the summer school is one of our initiatives. The other one I would like to talk about is our visiting program. Increasingly, this is getting bigger and bigger. And in fact, you have just seen William sign the agreement with our Vice Chancellor. But let's just tell you the source of that. Before everything happened, it was actually a visiting program. We were approached by a university in China, and they asked if they can send their students to the UK for up to 6 months in the research purpose. And so, again, Bill and I, we always say, we never did this before, we have no idea what it's like, but we say yes anyway. So this is how we operate. And so yes, we say yes.
I think the other thing is don't forget the other part of the story. These are very bright students. They're the top students of their university. They're at master's level, but they need experience safely internationally. So effectively, the university bought us in to ship their students here for an agreed period of time.
6 months.
Yeah, and we had what? On the first one, 8 bright minds? 10. 10, yeah. So we had 10 very bright students come in just to want to stay with us, for us to look after.
This is the University of South China, South China Normal University, one of the top universities in the program. And talk about one of the programs, any program in China is equivalent to population of 1.5 times of the UK. So this is one of the top universities in Guangdong province, and Guangdong is of course the one closest to Hong Kong. So these students, they came and they sit in our module, they visit UK's cities, and of course they engage in our activity, research and teaching, etc. And the university, as Bill said, the university pay them. Their university pay them to come here. And of course, for obvious reason, if you pay students to go, you will choose the best student, not the. So therefore, we get 10 very bright students coming here, engage in our teaching and research activity. And then, of course, the feedback was really, really good. And so South China Normal University has decided to continue to sponsor their students to come to Chester. And this year, we have, for the first time, we have a February cohort. And because we normally in the last 2 years, we have the September cohort. So they're here to sitting modules, and they will have the assessment as well. All the assessment will take place in BRI and where we are. And so this is the story, the beginning of our new initiative. And we didn't know how it happened. Well, we didn't know what would happen, but we then realized that this is the best possible thing for us to start. as the university, Chester University. The reason being that we all know that University of Chester is not the highest ranked university in the UK because it's a new university, I have to say that. It's a very young university. And the thing is, in the new market, for Chester University, China is a new market, but China is not a new market for the rest of the UK. And therefore, a lot of UK universities have already established long-term relationship with the Chinese university, and therefore in this aspect we are pretty much far behind. And so to break this circles, and we think that the visiting program is one of the ways, because A, we get some very bright students, and B, these students get to know us. And in fact, what we see now is that a lot of students, in fact we have one student, sorry, is it ICE?
Yes.
Yeah. Ice is one of our visiting students. She joined the cohort, February cohort, but she's just talked to me and she's about to submit her application for a PhD. And so this is how we see the value of our program. In fact, 4 out of the 4 students from Guangxi Normal University in February, they have decided to stay in Chester. 2 are going to apply for a PhD and another 2 going to apply for a master. And so that's why the value of what we are doing is a long-term, it's a long-term commitment, and also it's a long-term achievement. And of course, not to mention that this is something that we speak. What is the next? Is the revenue it generates for our university. At the moment, we generate about $500,000. It's not a huge amount, but at least it keeps us going, and also at least it is convincing enough figure for the university internally to demonstrate our value. Okay, so as I mentioned, these are some of the benefits. So long-term partnership, as I mentioned, you have seen that our Vice Chancellor and William have just signed the agreement. In fact, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we have the plaque unveiling between 10 and 11, and so I'm rounding up the usual culprits to be there for the photo.
Yeah. So if anyone is free, more than welcome. I will be there, and quite a few of us will be there. If anyone is there, will be an opening ceremony tomorrow morning. And this is one of the first. This is one of the very first academy which is emerged from our visiting program. So, for example, South China Normal University, they would like to set up an academy of knowledge and cultural exchange in Chester, because they wanted, they are sure, they know what we are, they know us now after 3 years, so they know we can be trusted. And they would like to set up a training center for all their postgraduate students to come here to have the international experience. And so this is one of the achievements. Of course, Jingbo being here, we are going to share another one with Guangxi Normal University. In fact, there's at least 4 universities who want to set up an academy with us in Chester. And all this is because of the program that we run.
The other 2 are in Dalian, which is in the north, and the other one's Wuhan.
Yes. So in fact, there's a few more is in discussion. So
we can only cope with so many.
That's right, but we are hoping that we will continue to expand. In fact, the good news is that we get the support from the Vice Chancellor for us to increase our number of staff, and so hopefully things will be next year. Hopefully we can report more about how things go. So can you go back to the last previous one? We talk about the quality and of the student. This is something that we can never underestimate, because as you know, a lot of students, when they come to the UK, some of them are not necessarily the best quality, especially going to the very low ranked university for obvious reasons. But what we have attracted now are the top university with the top students. They are very engaging. In fact, for example, Ice can tell you more if you have time to talk to her. They engage in a play in Little Theatre, because they have to attend class in Little Theatre about how to present, how to speak the image, and also from a drama perspective. And so they actually engage culturally in our community, and this is one of the contributions. Resources, as I say, we generate income, and of course the income we generate can help our university in terms of our research activity, because we haven't get a lot of resources in that aspect. So this is hopeful that it can be helpful. And also university revenue in other areas, for example, accommodation, catering, and also revenue in the Cheshire area as well. For example, all the students, they will visit Cheshire more than once, and they will spend quite a lot of money. I can guarantee. Last year, I think someone bought a Rolex and say, this is really good value for money, because you just get the tax return, and there's more than enough to pay twice the fee of coming here in the summer school. Just imagine how much the watch costs. Anyway, so these are some of the benefit. Some of the benefit we can see, some of the benefit is indirect, but they are also the benefit. And also, when we talk about culture, I should also mention Jim Bose and his family, they are visiting scholars, so it's also part of our program. And Jim Bose has a fantastic daughter who played piano very well, and she played for the Queen when the Queen visited 3 weeks ago. So I think that Queen must demonstrate the quality of her skill.
She plays
we are all very proud of
she
her.
plays cards equally well.
Oh yes, and of course, not needless to say, Gary lost almost every time when she played cards.
Gary played at cards against her. It is not recommended.
Yes, I don't know if it's anything to do with piano, but
her mother had to tell her to lose once just to save my face.
She did lose once, but yes, it was a very, very cheerful, very lovely girl, and she's going to stay in the UK. She's got a scholarship in one of the best music schools in Europe, the TESOL. And so for us, as a team, we are trying our best, and we will continue to try our best to support her in her study and her life in the UK. Because what we see is a very talented little girl who has everything, very promising future. Okay, right. So the way forward, the academy, as I mentioned earlier on, intensive staff and student exchange, raise awareness. We need to raise awareness, not just in the university, but in the community, in the area, in the Cheshire area. And we are working towards, and we're working on it. Phil and I, needless to say, in our networking events, we will continue to work on this area.
I think the staff exchange things, just a quick blurb on. At any one time, we've now got probably something like 10 Chinese staff from universities across the university attached to us, and they're ranging from professor down. And they can be in any different area as well, and I think that's likely to grow. So, and of course, they put in roots to us. We get to know them. But that's been happening last year, hasn't it, really, I suppose?
Last year, last year, starting from last year.
Yeah. But it's likely to get up to about, we will have 20 staff from China who are attached to this possibly.
Yeah, and increasingly we're hoping that more staff from Chester will go to China, because a lot of them, as you know, Chester is relatively local university. A lot of staff are not prepared for the international market. In fact, a lot of them, they have no idea what it's like. And so therefore, it is our big job for us to raise awareness internally. And also, before there was the acceptance, they have to accept that this is part of the picture. And you listen to what the Vice Chancellor said, we are determined to go international now. And so if you want to stick to the local market, chances are it won't happen. Well, depends on what you choose, but the bottom line is not going to continue like that. Okay, right, so continue to generate revenue and to support our staff development and research activity. So basically, just quickly to show you what we've been doing. But quite often when people visit us, we are having cake or tea, but actually we do more than that.
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for filling us in on the initiatives that the university started many years ago, for linking in with China and linking in what we now see some wonderful people from China here today who we're all delighted to see. So great to hear about the summer school, great to hear about the visiting program, and plans are in the future to ensure this good cooperation that we have continues. So wonderful to see. Can I go back to Nick? And apologies to Nick for missing off the list. Let me say, Nick, I ran across Andy about 7 years ago, I'm not a good counter, I'm an accountant, I'm not a calculator. Probably about 7 years ago, whilst judging on the High Sheriff's Awards with Professor Phil Harris, I turned up at Jane Lewis Nursing to think, and I didn't know what was at the top of this building.
Yeah.
We went to see an amazing business, which Nick had taken from the development stage, really pushed it forward, and shows really what so he has the experience on the other side too, of how to actually physically get involved in business and take it forward. What I was really impressed with, we got, it was just, we walked in, the office was well organised, people looked happy, and really then we got to grips with the business, which we thought was just providing a bit of nursing care to all our hospitals in the UK, which were short of nurses, and then to appreciate that actually what Nick had said, he looked at what we needed in the UK, we had a desperate shortage of nurses, we went out to Spain, hopefully, bringing in Spanish nurses here to fill the gaps in national health service. So he built up that business, he's been kind enough to pass it on to the next generation, and here he sits as the chair of the Business Advisory Council of the University of Leicester.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. That's a very kind introduction. Thank you very much. I'll just talk a little bit about Jane Lewis, if I may. Jane Lewis is a true family business. My mum started Jane Lewis back in 1987 in North Wales, in Llandudno. She started it because she was a nurse who got bored. She got bored regularly, my mum, and got itchy feet. And so she decided in her wisdom that she would buy a guest house in Llandudno, bed and breakfast, and got bored pretty rapidly, that too. So around about sort of January time, when it's very quiet in Llandudno, she started phoning a couple of nursing homes and seeing if they needed a nurse for temporary shifts, which they did, and it grew from there. She started to ask other nurses if they'd like to work temporarily, and they did, and the business grew. By the time I came to be involved in the business, which was around about 1990, the business was turning over probably around about £350,000 a year, so fairly modest. We grew it together for a couple of years, and then Mum decided she was a bit bored again, so she kind of retired around about 1994. I moved the business on, took it to Chester, opened offices in Manchester, in Liverpool, various other places. Grew the business shrank back a little bit, grew it again. It's kind of the cycle of a small business. You make mistakes, you learn, you go back and do things differently. And so that was up until about 2013, when there really was a massive shortage of staff here. As Robert alluded to, we went to Spain, recruited nurses from Spain. And then 2016 Brexit happened, which is happy days. The Spanish nurses decided they didn't want to come to the UK anymore, understandably, because it was a very uncertain time for them, and they weren't sure whether they were going to have jobs long term. But as with all small businesses, you've got to be light on your feet. You've got to roll with the blows and go elsewhere if your market dries up. So we now recruit nurses. I still say we because I'm still involved in the business. I'm a director, but I'm not operationally involved anymore. So we now recruit nurses from India, the Philippines, and Singapore. So we're still bringing a significant number of nurses in for various different hospital trusts, but we're not bringing them in, sadly, from the EU any longer. Jane Lewis is a business. We'll turn over around about £8.5 million this year. We'll provide around about 8,000 hours of care, and that a week, 8,000 to 9,000 hours a week, and that is in terms of temporary staffing still. But also, we provide care to people who have complex care needs. So if someone's unfortunate enough to have a road traffic accident or there's a problem during the birthing process, we look after people in their own homes, in institutions, and in various other places. So we can look after people from birth through to end of life. And very often that will be quite complicated. It may require very highly trained nurses, or it might require someone that just needs to do some basic personal care and help people get up in the morning and make sure that they've got enough to eat. So we cover a whole range of things. We were fortunate enough to win a High Sheriff's Award for family business back in 2015. And at that point, I kind of decided that I'd probably taken the business as far as I could. And my daughter, who'd been with the business for the last 15 years, was fairly reluctant to step into my shoes, having seen my loss of hair and increase in wrinkles. But fair enough, she is now running the business and she's doing an excellent job as well. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about Jane Lewis. Some of the things that I've learned in my time running a business and running an SME in particular. Human capital is a key battleground, and I think a few people, this is another bit of a link that's been running through, a bit of a theme that's been running through today's proceedings. Now many SMEs already understand that. They understand that in order to differentiate themselves, they need to make sure that they are attracting, recruiting and retaining talent and the right people. And that's not always easy, because some of the larger businesses are paying a lot of money, and it's difficult for SMEs to try and match them. So you have to be, again, quite innovative. You have to think about things. And very often what's interesting is money is important, obviously. We all go to work to earn money. But we spend an awful lot of time at work. So if we can make it a more pleasant experience, you're more likely to retain staff, and you're more likely to recruit people as well. So that's a really interesting point. Once you start to understand that, it's not all about money, it's about the experience that people have at work. It kind of alters the way that you think. Now, many people around this table know David Barlow, electrical business in Malpas. Started off from very humble beginnings back in the 1970s. David and his brother, I think, took over a family business. They now train around about 350 to 400 electricians a year. Now, Barlows themselves can't possibly need 300 to 400 apprentices every year. In actual fact, they're training people for other electricians, which has got to be the ultimate mark of success of a training academy, when other people bring them to you to train them. So they have the brightest and the best. Because of the 350 to 400 people that pass through their books, they're able to cherry pick the best ones. So that's how Barlow's has done it. Retaining talent, once you've got them, is interesting too. So there's many programs out there to retain talent. There's many well-being things, there's many schemes, there's many times where you can buy goods at a discounted price because there's a benefit to the business in doing that. You can salary sacrifice, pension, etc. All very well and good, but very often the owners of businesses and the people who are running corporations are concentrating on what's in it for them, not what's in it for the staff. And that's what's really key. Staff understand that if something's a real benefit to the boss and not so much a benefit to them, well, maybe there is a bit of a balance there, maybe there's some good for them, but it's not as good maybe as it could be. So you need to concentrate on looking after staff so that they'll look after you. And that really is an important sort of plank in any kind of differentiation program. Now, very often you'll find a group of business owners, when they come together to discuss a topic like this, they'll say, yeah, but I don't want to be a soft touch. I don't want to be the guy whose staff are walking out and treating it like a joke, and it's willy-nilly, and flexi time means they can come in when they choose. It doesn't have to be like that. A well-established program of well-being for staff, a well-established policy of absence monitoring policy and productivity, bonuses, as well as monitoring, goes an awful long way. Staff start to understand that, and staff start to understand that if they are good employees, it reflects well on the business. The reverse is true as well. If someone is taking the mickey, taking Mondays and Fridays off, coming in when they feel like, throwing a sickie whenever they feel like, it rubs off on the rest of the workforce. Why should I work hard? He never does, and he gets paid the same amount as me. So it's a bit of a virtuous circle and a virtuous spiral. If you can increase productivity by making it a decent place to work, a decent place to be, you will get a productivity dividend, if you like. I just wanted to talk a little bit as well about the UK in general, the UK business atmosphere. We saw the amazing presentation on Shenzhen, and I thought that was absolutely unbelievable, a fantastic place, and a place that, having seen that, I would love to go and visit. I hope I will do one day. But I think we also have some really good examples of how cities can change. And I put Manchester up as an example of that, which, coming from a family of Liverpudlians, anyone who understands the local connection, well, that's not an easy thing for me to do. But Manchester, I actually really enjoy Manchester. I love Manchester, I love going to Manchester. Manchester's got a real vibe about it, a vibrancy. It's got a lot of dynamism, and there's an awful lot of young people there who are keen and committed and make the place grow. Now, many people sort of my generation and my age will point to the IRA bomb in 1996, which went off in Market Street in Manchester, and they say that's the moment when Manchester changed. Everything started to happen after that. Well, maybe, maybe not. I think actually there were twin influences on Manchester, and they are called Sir Richard Leese and Sir Howard Bernstein, and they're the two men who basically changed Manchester. They made enemies. They were uncompromising. Some people said, you're ruining our city, you're doing this, you're doing that, and they didn't shy away from a fight. But they had a vision, and they had, if you'll forgive the French, the balls to see the vision through. Manchester's now, I'd say, an unrecognisable city from the one that we all saw, sort of the post-industrial city of the early 1990s, and much for the better, I have to say. It's earned a reputation for young, dynamic professionals, especially in the digital and marketing sectors. It's now arguably the UK's second city. Attracts talent from all over the UK. And I think one of the problems we have here in Chester is trying to hold on to people and not let them go to Manchester. And Liverpool, which is sort of upcoming and catching up around a little bit now. So I think UK cities can change, but what's required is a bit of a steely determination, really. And firstly, a vision, to develop that vision, and secondly then to implement it. Also, cities also need places and businesses to develop. They need shared workspaces, they need buoyant corporate finance community, and somewhere for people to have fun after work, because what we're all talking about here is work. But what we also have to say is people have downtime. And if you're going to enjoy living in a place and working in a place, it's got to be fun. Manchester's a fun place at night. Manchester's got theatres, it's got nightclubs, it's got bars, it's got restaurants. Sometimes, you know, people moan about it and complain about it. People complain about the races here in Chester. It ruins the city centre, but it also brings a huge number of people into the city centre because people do want to have fun when they're having their downtime. You need places where people can work, where offices that are easy in, easy out rents. You're not going to tie people down for years and years on end, and they feel like, oh my God, if my business fails, I'm going to carry on paying the rent for another 5 or 6 years. You don't want that. You want stuff to be easy to do, easy to get into, easy to get out. But above all, businesses, in order to attract the right talent, in order to retain the right talent, they need support. They need support to implement well-being plans. They need support to implement strategic planning. One of the key things about SMEs that they struggle with is a strategy, is understanding how to form a strategy and then how to implement a strategy. And it's been said earlier on today that there's lots of advice, I think Dan said there's lots of advice out there. It's knowing which to pick, who to choose. And I'd say there's no easy answer to that. You've got to go out there and, you know, to use that American expression, you've got to kiss a lot of frogs and find out which one's the prince. So basically, you need funding for expansion, and you need people to do that, to carry forward that expansion. Thank you very much indeed.
Nick, thanks for your thoughts on running a business and yourself. The successful businesses I see, they all have good people who look after their staff. They have good staff retention. It makes life so much easier to run a business if everybody wants to come to work, everybody's happy. And it needs to be fun. Business is serious, but actually it needs to be a light-hearted Southfield as well. And good point too that if you want to retain staff and see it in the city of Chester, it's nice that there are amusements there, bars, and they can have fun in the evening. I'd also agree strategy and implementation. Quite difficult. A consultant comes in to see a business, the guy, the entrepreneur gets extremely excited to begin with, and he doesn't perhaps endorse all that vision. And then, of course, the benefit of the day, he goes back to his normal day-to-day activities and forgets what he was told to do. I find that if somebody actually, if we do need somebody to help people in the experts, and what we probably need is we need a mentor, and we need somebody who's going to come in maybe occasionally again, find out about those, find out what the opportunities are, and then follow it up every 3 or 4 weeks. Give the guy, the entrepreneur, a few things to go do, nothing too much, but a few things to just get him on board. And then push him, see if you can, if you do it every 3 or 4 weeks, you should actually be able to get them through the door and into exporting. If it's a one-off visit, I don't probably get go anywhere. So thanks very much for your thoughts. I hope you've given a good insight into the problems of running a business and how you need to move with the times. And if you find the doors are closed, like you did with recruitment from Europe, go elsewhere, which you've obviously done. So thank you very much for that. The next speaker we've got is Dr. Stephen Ho, who's a veterinary economics at the University of Chester. And I invite him to address the conference, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So, same as last year, I think my topic is a little bit far away from business and business opportunities, which seems to be a main thing here because myself is an economist. So I study public spending and especially public spending on the impact of public spending on economic growth, the growth of a country as a whole. So I'm not expert in any of the particular sectors of business, but so I just here to offer some of my own understanding and my a little bit drawing from my research, talking about business opportunities and how we can utilize public spending. As many may heard, for many years, economists seems very despise the intervention of governments in business and economic activities. We're seeing this as an intrusion, and especially in the UK, as we are the mother country of Adam Smith, we believe with free market. We believe a well-functioning market should be most effective and should be the best environment to running a business. However, recent studies, and recent actually come from the 1930s when we have the first financial crisis, the big depression, and drawing from the American experience, people starting to realize that governments can actually play a very important role in the economic activities. And so the study has been carried on, and recently there are quite fierce debates on whether what kind of role the government should play in the economic activity. And especially with the success of China, and people, as many of you have mentioned earlier, the high-speed train, which was apparently a government-led action in China. And as you mentioned, China will become the largest economy in terms of its GDP in maybe as early as 2025, and as latest with the predictions 2030, GDP-wise, China will be the largest economy. So there must be something that, I'm not saying everything the government's doing is right, or the Chinese government is the sole secret that behind this economic success of China. But it certainly plays some role, and some important thing we have done certainly could be an example that other governments could follow. And of course, under a framework that is still compatible with a free market. So the first one I think I want to mention is the bargaining power. So as a business, you understand large business has large bargaining power, small business may have a very small bargaining power. So they get higher price when they buying components, they are in a very bad position when competing with other big businesses. And what can be the largest bargaining power in the country? That's normally it's government. So the government's a good example will be the high-speed train, where the government led the negotiation with the initial provider of the technology, which I think is Siemens from German, and some other companies from Japan. So imagine this was led by a new, say like Virgin Train or any other private company, they won't get such a good deal. Because the deal they have is they can pay the money, doesn't matter how high it is, but they have to have the full rights, all the documents to themselves, the original data, original documents, so they can imitate the technology. And I guess Siemens and other companies know the government, the China will learn this, but it's just with this backing power with the whole country, that Chinese government is the only representative. If they want this market, this is the only one they can sit down to negotiate. So they have finally bowed down. They provide all the technical details to everything they export. And as expected, after 2 years, China started to have their own technology, own patents with in this high-speed train. And now high-speed train is one of the original exports from China. China is exporting the technical solutions for high-speed train to some other countries. And another thing just happened actually, when we watched the World Cup. Actually, like here, World Cup was broadcasted by BBC and ITV, which I don't know the exact figure from what I read. It seems each channel paying higher than the Chinese CCTV, which is the central government TV television station paying. And consider the market, the number of the population the broadcasting is going to, so the per head cost of broadcasting World Cup in China is much, much, much cheaper. And that is, again, showing the bargaining power of the government, where they have the sole representative to sit in a business negotiation table, which is very high. So I guess this is something that British government can do. I'm not saying that the government should forbid a private company going to certain area, but maybe a coordinator, like, don't undercut your own, the competitor from one country. That this kind of coordination could only be done by the government. And the next thing I want to talk about is about externality. So if there are economists, they might understand what I'm saying. Externalities, meaning that every type of goods we produce and we consume not only bring benefit and profit to the producer and the consumer, it also have impact on other people in the society. It can be positive and it can be negative. So negative externality is the very famous example is pollution. So we can have a factory producing something, they make profit, consumer consume it, fulfill their own enjoyment. But if such thing was made with a polluted method, the whole environment, everyone in the society gets damaged. If not government step on to set a law, then there will no true reflection of the cost. So that's why those type of things with negative externalities will be over-provided to a socially optimal level. And this also handles the problem of innovation. Like we talk about the green technology. So many may think green technology, the problem is the technology. We don't have the optimal technology yet. But from what I read, it seems this is a two-dimensional problem. Another problem is sometimes they are not profitable. The technology is already existed, but to adopt such technology, you are not in a profit position as the traditional technology. So the only way here is the government step in to cut, like what we fiercely debate now is the green tax. Government should set a green tax. Either it is a subsidy to the company that adopt the highest sustainable green technology, or as a punishment or fine penalties to the company that insists using polluted and old traditional technology. So either way, those specific policy is debatable, but it seems only government has the power and has the capacity to carry out such activities. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the public goods. This similarly as externality, some of the goods, but it's not entirely the same. So I will ignore the technical details, just to say public goods, some type of goods has to be provided publicly. Well, there's plenty of economic reason why they can't be provided privately, or if they are provided privately, it will not reach the optimal level. So for those type of goods, government, again, is the only choice that they have to provide such infrastructure. And we all talk about innovation technologies in adapting next generation business. Like we are amazed with how China, people in China using their phone to pay for the goods, the WeChat Pay or the Alipay. But actually, this success was behind as all the banks in China were state-owned. So the banks has provided all the identity check to those tech companies. They provide this for free as the bank is state-owned, and it seems to them it's an obvious responsibility that they are checking the identity of the individual who using such pay, so the company themselves don't need to bear the cost. Otherwise, it's not like companies in the UK or US haven't thought of this idea or they don't have the technology. I'm sure they do, but to actually implement such payment system, the company, either Facebook or Google trying to do it, they have to go and negotiate with each individual bank, and it will be a very the bank won't let them use it for free. It will be very high cost, and that makes the business not profitable. Therefore, this, as I mentioned earlier, this type of security check, this type of banking system, this type of identity information is not best not let certain company to hold them. It's best let the government hold it and to provide them to the party that should and have a legitimate use. So it's more safe, more secure, and also cost less to the business to run. And last one I want to talk about is about the social welfare. Again, this seems, they call it welfare because sometimes it's not so profitable. A lot of the business, a lot of activities we carry on in the economy is important, vital, but maybe not profitable. It will never be profitable. Or if it's profitable, it's not socially desired. For example, the pharmaceutical companies. We obviously we want them to have, higher investment in R&D, to invest in the highest, most effective drugs to cure. But if when they have such costs, and when this one is running privately, then not every individual that can benefit who really need the drugs. And also, one of my research areas is on the aging society. So this, as I say, will be one of the true, the legitimate reason to worry about the future of the China. I heard about like pollution or political risk. I personally think those are a very, very low possibilities to really, stop the growing of the China. But if there is something that will, like all the prediction fails, that China has got into some stagnation, then that will be the problem of aging. So it is an area that the government needs to do actions together with private sector. So this is a big business opportunities, as well as how government spending can be useful. So the exact way of how the government led and the private sector follow this model, obviously I don't have an answer, but I hope that in the business school, in the business academia, business world, people can think about. But I believe the only way to solve the problem is, again, as many examples in China, it's the government provide the support of the infrastructure, the support of the policy, legislation, regulation, and then private sector follow up to utilizing those public goods to make use of those public goods to make profit, because you cannot count in the government to keep using the tax money to running an unprofitable business, and also you cannot count on the private sector to go into such a whole area where the making money seems not being the priority, because the priority of prepare aging society is people's welfare of those old people as well as the young people who will have the burden of their old parents. So this is a very short and brief perspective for me as an economist looking at the business opportunities here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughts on the four concepts of bargaining power. Very interesting to hear how we do it in China. We have a lot to learn on that in the UK. I don't think we use our bargaining power at all, and certainly when I think the thought from the UK man in the street is that when the government does actually enter negotiations, it always ends up as an expensive contract. So there's a lot to be said for externality. Good to hear about that, and also the provision of public goods. I think that again, that's something we could learn here. And also the social policies that are needed to help drugs be supplied to the Asian population at a reasonable price, so to get a reasonable return for the pharmaceutical industry, but also make sure that those tablets are needed or are needed and are available at a reasonable price. So thank you very much for that. Can I ask Professor Paul Manning, the University of Chesterfield School, to sum up this, please?
Oh, yes. Hi. Well, Robert started off talking about small business networking, which was a happy coincidence for me because my PhD is in small business and networking. So I'll say a few comments about that first. And it was interesting for me to look at entrepreneurs around the table because some of the comments really underline and reinforce what the theoretical papers say. So I know in networking, one of the views is that there's a small number of people who are super networkers, who are networked to everyone, but they're a very small number of people, and there's been research done on them. But typically, entrepreneurs have different networks to people who are not entrepreneurs. So people who tend to run their own business tend to have network shapes that are different, and they tend to be more extensive and full of what's known as weak ties. So they know more people, but they don't necessarily know them better. You just know more people. And one of the expressions somebody said to me once was, I'll keep that person warm because I never know when he might be useful to me. And that's a typical entrepreneurial thing to say. Now, from the research, building an entrepreneurial network is much an art as a science. So how do you build up a network if you want to set a business up or you're running a business? And I think one of the key words to think about is proximity. You actually have to get out there and work at it. But the point is, you're never sure of what's going to be the valuable network connection. So you can't say to yourself, I'll go to that meeting because I'll meet someone there who's going to be very valuable to me. A lot of it is serendipity. It's being in the right place at the right time, but you only know if you're in the right place at the right time by increasing your proximity, by getting out there. One of the things that struck me when I did research was how much negativity there was towards networking events. A chap said to me once, I don't like these meetings because everyone wants 51p to my 49p. And what he meant by that was everyone was trying to get the edge on him. So that I think the latest research is if you want to build up a network, you've got to make the first move. And what makes that difficult, at the same time, you don't want to be seen as a soft touch. So it's an art where you give something, but you don't give too much. Because you don't want to develop this reputation for being, as I say, somebody who could be taken advantage of. But unless you do that, you're going to find it hard to build up these type of networks. So that would be my overview on small business to begin with, which I think is indicative of all the other collaborations, because the idea of proximity is key, I think. It's being close to people is how you build up those networks. So you can't trade with yourself, you can't build up a network with yourself you've got to be out there communicating. So to take each one in turn, then Professor Tim Wheeler was talking about short-term versus long-term, which I think is an interesting perspective because most businesses have a more of a long-term orientation, and also he stressed the idea of understanding and regard. So that's seeing things from the other person's point of view. So again, I think that fits into the network view of partners and vision, thinking about long term. And then Wing Lang gave a presentation on collaboration and the opportunities available in China to develop the university and the wider benefits, which are indubitable. And then we looked at free zones in Gulf states, and I think UK advanced economy. What's the role of tax-free zones, EPZs? I know there's a vigorous debate out there on that, and it's one that's just up in the air. I don't know what the answer to that is. There's advantages and disadvantages to free trade zones, and that's an ongoing debate. The next speech by Nick on nursing care homes. My wife's a dentist, so I'm vaguely aware of all the medical areas, and the idea of human capital is one I think social capital for my research, and I'm quite interested in this capitalization syntax. I actually wrote a paper on intellectual capital, which is a variation on human capital. And I agree with you, the human capital of the business is very, very significant. And it's one of these points, I was reading a book recently on the tyranny of metrics. And it's the idea that people are obsessed with measuring things with numbers at the moment. And things like human capital and expertise are hard to enumerate, and they tend to be underestimated. So I was glad you brought that forward, because I thought that was a very good point to make. And then you also talked about Manchester Vision, and I'd underline your comments, being not from Manchester on that one. But urban development and the wider benefits of living in an area, I think, are very significant in terms of the cultural, social aspect of any business. And finally, we looked at government role. Zinhu, you talked about the government role in developing the economy, which is a perennial debate, and one that's ongoing, and with Brexit, you know. Okay, so that'll be my summation. Okay. Thank you.
It's tea time. I think we'll have a 10-minute break and then we'll reconvene and we'll wrap up the world.